Hello, my name is June. Welcome to my first video tutorial how to make a halter top. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to check out my pattern. It's available to purchase on Etsy. I will leave the link below description. Before we started, I would like to let you guys know that for this pattern, there are two options that you guys can choose. Either option A, non-pleated cups, or option B, pleated cups. For beginner, I actually recommended option A because it's not difficult to sew and it doesn't take a lot of time. Option B, I only recommend it if you are an intermediate or advanced sewer, because option B, we need to dip on the mannequins. It's quite difficult for beginners, but if the beginners who interested to learn new skill, or if you wanna challenge yourself, that will be fun to have a new experience on doing something new. Also, in this pattern, you guys need to decide whether top or dress. In this pattern, you guys can cut it in the short length to be a top or can leave it long to be a dress. For both top and dress, using the same pattern, the only difference is to cut the shorter length than the dress. For this video tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make an option B pleated cups, because I think it's difficult and quite complicated to make. The most hardest part of this pattern is the cups. So for both options, the poses are the same. Okay, let's get started. The material that I'm going to use today is the satin, polyester satin. I really need to warn you guys that satin is really difficult to work with if you guys don't get used to it. I actually recommend linen or chiffon for the beginner. We also need the bias tape. Today, I'm actually going to make my own bias tape from the same fabric that I'm going to use. The pattern paper need to be cut on the edges 1 centimeter. After that, just tape the paper together. guys start cutting, I actually recommend you guys to iron the facings on the fabric before start cutting it, because the satin is quite moving around. If you guys cut them separately and put them together, that will be difficult to paste them together. After that, make sure you guys don't forget to mark inlay for assembling the cups later. Now sewing the lines for gathering the undercup. For my techniques, I actually recommend you guys to sew along 3 lines, because 3 lines will make the gather look nicer and tighter. Also, on the top of the cup, sew 3 lines as well as the bottom. All the cup pieces ready, paste the cups very slightly, inside and also outside. Now it's time for dipping. Before we dip the cups, we need to pin down the inside cups on the mannequin to guide us how big the pleated should be on the mannequins. Start making the piece using the piece cup pieces. You can make the piece large or small depending on your preference. You need a lot of patience to do this step because making the piece is taking time. the fold of the pleat, pin the pleated fold down and iron it as well, so that the fold will stay nicely. All done. Now the pleated are finished and it looks quite nice. After finishing all the pleated cups, so now we have to take it all out from the mannequin to sew them together. So now we have to lock the pleated cups and inside cups together to make the piece stay. Sew along 1 centimeter from the edges. Now it's time to create the pocket for the padding bar. There are 3 layers in this cups. First layer is the pleated cups layer. Second layer is the layer that under the pleated cup to lock the cups together. And the third layer is the layer that we are going to create the pocket for the padding bar. Fold it down and sew around the edges 8 mm and then attach this piece to the bar cup pieces. As I mentioned before, today we are going to create our own bias tape, and to create our own bias tape we need to cut on the bias on the fabrics. fold the tape down in the center and paste it. After you paste it, you need to fold down again on the crease and then paste it again to make the pieces stronger. After you finishing creating your own bias tape, so now it's time to attach the bias tape to the bar cups. Before we attach the bias tape on the bar cups, we need to trim on the edges of cleavage of the bar cups. We now only need to add the bias tape on the cleavage size of the cup. We later will add the bias tape on the side of the cups after we finish attaching the cup to the body. After finishing adding bias tape, don't forget to trim the edges on the sides of the cup. Before you attach the bar cup to the bodice, make sure that you don't forget to overlock on the sides of the bodice. That's why we can have the nicer seam. Place the cups to the bodice and start pin down on the edges. Sew along the edges 1 centimeter. To make it easier to add the bias tape at the bottom of the cups, make sure that you place both cups in the center of the body, like it's shown on the picture. Trim 5 mm under cups to add the bias tape under cups. If you don't want to spend a lot of time on adding bias tape under cups, you can just overlock it and leave it like that. The next step will be attaching front piece and back piece together. So we will stitch one side from the bottom to the end, but another side we will stitch only 2.5 inches because we need to leave that for the zipper. After you guys finish stitching the front piece and back piece together, don't forget to iron the seam sides of the top. Adding the zipper, leave 1 centimeter from the top. Start at the top edge and stitch 5 mm from the zipper teeth. So the technique is you need to leave the zipper longer than the seam stitch. After that, put on an invisible zipper foot. Start at the top edges and stitch in place until the foot lunges the back seam start. Release the zipper slider through the small remaining hole and close the zipper. So as you can see, the bottom of the zipper will look nicer when you leave the zipper longer than seams. And now we need to add the bias tape on the back of the top. To figure out how much tape do you need, measure the back of the top, the size of the cups, and add the length of the strap. Before you start sewing the tapes to the top, make sure to fold the tapes over the zipper because that will make the edge look cleaner at the zipper. Fold the tape to make the strap and sew along the edges 1 millimeter. For another size, start from the zipper as well. Add the bias tape from the zipper to the top of the cups. And after that, start sewing the strap. Well, guys, we are almost done. Right now is the last step of this tutorial, how to make a halter top, is the hem. So to make the hem, I actually double fold the bottom of the top and just stitching it. All done, guys. Make sure that you guys don't forget to iron all the seams, because when the seam looks flat, will make the top look nicer. So let's see how it's turned out. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy watching it, and also hope you guys can learn something new in this tutorial. I will leave the link below if you guys interested to check out my IG or my Etsy shop for another patterns. Bye!